So kind of crazy. I left the sunny beach front home that I got down in California, and it was 75 degrees. Beautiful sunny day. You get here, it's cold and cloudy and miserable, and it's gonna rain. So you know, I got my Learjet back there in my private airstrip. Just landed. I'm starting to get a little tired from all this traveling. The days are shorter now, so I got to get more done in a less amount of time. I can't dawdle anymore like I used to. You know, come out here, hang out for a few minutes, you know, maybe drink some coffee with the guys. I didn't tell you this, I hired a crew to take care of everything here while we're gone. You know, when you're on YouTube, if you got more than, I don't know, maybe 10 subscribers, you make a lot of money, and now we got 90,000 subscribers. Well, almost 90,000. We're making billions. It's so bad now I can't even show you my Learjet because I'm afraid somebody will put a tracking device on it like they did with Elon Musk. Yeah, me and him go way back. Came up on our riches together like that, so he's a lot more outspoken than me. Recently, one of my California neighbors realized what I did for a living, you know, making YouTube videos of an off-grid lifestyle. So I'm kind of shunned in the neighborhood. Probably have to move shortly, maybe not too much longer, because you know they're kind of snooty. Just landed. Oh my goodness, what a mess. I'll show you this in a minute. It's interesting. I was yesterday when I was about ready to leave, I thought I'd do some target practicing, so I put a little box here that I could shoot at with my 22, and it had such a tight grouping that it laid a little trail of bullets. That's from 11 bullets. That's all that is. Thought that was kind of neat. So these guys, they were supposed to be cleaning up this camper, this old truck camper that we got. But they haven't gotten to it yet. Although I will admit they've gotten all that wood stacked up that fell down over the summer. So they need to get busy on this and get that all cleaned up. Hopefully we'll have this cleaned up within the next few weeks or so. Got the solar panels. Not making much electric today, I guess. I mean, it doesn't matter. We don't really need it. It's just for show for the channel. So as you know, Carolyn and I started out our YouTube adventure as nomads. We bought a pop-up camper, and within just a few weeks, we had 100 subscribers. We grew pretty quickly, actually, in my opinion. So we had a pop-up camper, we were traveling, but we quickly realized that we didn't want to do that anymore. I mean, almost instantly. Once the channel started making about, I don't know, 100 million a day or so, we bought the Learjet, decided that's how we would travel. But we had to keep this ruse up, of course, that we were still traveling as nomads. So after the pop-up camper fire, simulated, of course, we built this down at my dad's house, beachfront property there in Florida. Well, now we're tearing that down. We don't need it anymore. We got a tiny house, and it looks like they got the chickens doing pretty good. They reported to me yesterday that the chickens are back to producing eggs, pretty good rate. I think we got 6 producing right now out of 14 chickens. Of course, they went into a molt, and now they're coming out of the molt. The solar panels, I should have mentioned while we were over here, we have 1,200 watts of solar panels. Each solar panel is 100 watts, 12 volts, but they actually produce 20 volts on a sunny day. I'm not going to get into the math of all that right now, but I've made videos all summer long about how that works. So they're 100 watts, got 12 of them, so that's 1,200 watts. I've got 8 lead acid batteries. I know, with us having so much money, we probably should get lithium ion batteries. I hear it all the time in the comment section. You guys are so rich, get yourself some lithium ion batteries. But I don't know, I just kind of like lead acid batteries. They seem to do pretty good for me. I've reported now that the crew can fill the IBC tank up with water from the well, running just off solar panels. And I've showed you several things that we do. We run a freezer. Of course, we got that little generator just for emergencies. I'll probably have the crew run that today because it's so cloudy. We might get enough electric to get us through the day, but we won't have enough electric to get us through the night, so we'll have to charge the batteries up. Generator. Like I said, it's pretty cold here, so the crew's been getting the fire burning every day so I can make these videos. I got the wood stack picked up because it had fallen over in 2 spots, so all that's been picked back up, so that's good. They won't fill the IBC tank today because it's so cloudy. It takes a lot of work to try to simulate living off grid. Now, I will admit that these younger folks have an easier time on YouTube living off grid, usually because they got a young female. And I've been watching some of these videos recently just to see how they do it, but they got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I watched one silly short video of this gal loading a wood stove in a halter top, explaining step by step how to make a French press coffee. I'm thinking, there's what I'm missing. I just don't have the young woman in a halter top. And there's another one that does the same thing, goes out and gets firewood in a halter top. I don't even know if they're called halter tops. I don't know what they call them. She goes out and gets firewood, and they got a hot tub that they use with firewood. I'm thinking, well, if you're living off grid, what's with the hot tub? I don't know, French press coffee? So I try to make my fake off-grid channel a little bit more realistic. I mean, I try to make it look lived in. I have the crew make coffee every day off the Coleman stove here through a percolator. Kind of like, you know, the old John Wayne movies. I guess people aren't buying it as much as they buy it with the young girl with the halter top, because I mean, people just buy into that real quick. But you can see the coffee grounds have spilled over, and it's used. Even on the floor you can see it's spilled over. I try to make it realistic, and of course we try to make it look lived in. If you think about it, got the firewood here on the porch. This is a little stack that we've split to bring inside, but we're kind of out of room inside right now, so we're stacking it on the porch. The thing is we want to get ahead of it before it rains. If it rains for a day or two, I don't want to split wood and then use a moisture tester to find out that the wood's wet. Well, of course it's wet. It just rained. We let it dry out for 3 days. After a rain, after those 3 days, we get as much firewood as we can stacked up and brought into the house so it stays dry. And the wood stove helps dry it out even more. Then we got our kindling. Of course, we got the sawdust, because sometimes, you know, the logs are just too long. Long story, but we used to have a heat exchanger down there, and that's what we cut all the logs to, that size. Well, this stove's smaller, so we have to cut it down. So sometimes I take the Sawzall and I cut it. I do what I can so the crew doesn't have to do so much. I mean, they get paid big money, but you know, there are labor unions and all that stuff, and they got to have breaks several times a day. So you want to make sure that you take care of your crew, because there's no way to really make this look fake without the crew. Obviously, I know a lot of viewers like my sarcastic videos about my fake off-grid channel, but I got another one the other day telling me I was fake. I explained to you a while back that we were forced into buying a wash machine by our subscribers. Didn't really have a choice. I mean, we've been talking about this for, well, ever since we got here. Similarly, they also wanted us to put windows in the chicken coop, and we lost 9 chickens because a dog broke through that window, killed all the chickens. You do what you can for the subscribers because they want you to do things, but when my mom got involved, she said Carolyn needed a wash machine, so I thought, well, I had lost the battle. I better get a wash machine. Well, I made a video about it the other day, and I was told, you seem giddy about it. No, I'm not giddy about it. I'm quite upset about it. The person who said that obviously wasn't watching the video, because the video specifically said I was giddy about how I have the systems in place to run a wash machine. I think it's absolutely cool that we can run it. Not that we have it. I'd rather not have it. Carolyn would rather not have it. So this is the washing machine. I showed you this the other day. I'll put it up next box to that video I was talking about the other day. And it's a computer system. It's like, you know, it runs off a computer. I guess most modern washers do that now. But this is a little apartment size one, and it's 300 watts. So, well, it's a little bit more than 300. It's probably about 360 watts if I had to guess. It's 3 amps. So when you figure out what watts is, you got 120 volts. That's what your house electric is. 110, 120, something like that, times 3 amps. And now you can find all this information back here. So 120 times 3 is 360. If it's 110 volts, then it's 330. You have plenty of electric to run it. But I was told the other day that this is just another piece of evidence that proves that I am fake and that we don't live off grid, because I keep lying to you about our capabilities. This person said you cannot run a wash machine of that size off your junky solar panels, is what he said. Well, okay, then learn how to do math. It's just that simple. Math says I have a 100-watt solar panel times 12 solar panels is 1200 watts. I have 300-watt wash machine. 300 is smaller than 1200. So my solar panels have 4 times the amount of power than this wash machine needs. I'm not understanding how my junky solar panels can't run this wash machine. I can run an 800-watt well pump, and I really haven't seen anybody call me fake on that. But this, they said I was fake on. I could run 4 of these at the same time. Now, the thing you got to remember is it doesn't run full time. So if it were to run for an hour straight, you would use 330 or 360 watts, depending on your voltage. But this thing doesn't run full time, not the entire hour. When it fills, it's not using 300 watts. I think the fill is it opens up a valve, water comes in. It's not doing anything then, except the lights on the computer and stuff. The timer, probably not even using a watt of electricity. So the only time it's using 330 or 360 watts is when that motor is actually cycling or moving. So that's not full time. You go down and watch it. It's kind of neat to watch the charge controller because it bounces. You can see the voltage changing constantly on it, or I'm sorry, the watts, the amps. So it's easy to run this. This is no problem at all. Somebody asked me to demonstrate how it hooks up to the water. And this is not hard at all. So I bought this little adapter, the brass piece. It screws into the hose. So this hose fitting is a same thing as a garden hose female fitting. If you have a garden hose, you can make this work. You can screw the male end of a garden hose into this. So I have this fitting, and now that fitting goes into my water heater. So this is my water heater. So what I did was the shower hose, this is the shower hose that normally hooks up to this. We always disconnect this. That way we can fill pots and coffee pots or whatever. So this screws into the hose. So this hose so these two hoses now will screw in together. Now I've been accused of being fake before. I made these videos before, and what they told me was in the past was you can't make coffee off those solar panels. I guess they didn't know we used a percolator. I've showed many times that we have a percolator coffee pot that we use on the Coleman stove. So before we got the new charge controller, so we have 2 charge controllers now, and we split it up, so now we're getting all the amps of our solar panels. That was a true statement. We could not run a coffee pot, coffee maker or drip coffee maker. But we have one in the camper down there, and Carolyn's been using it to warm her water for her dishes. And it gets so hot, obviously, that she has to add cold water to it. So there's plenty of electricity to run the coffee pot. There's plenty of electricity to run the well, plenty of electricity to run the freezer and the wash machine. The thing you have to think about is our inverter. We have 2 inverters. We have one 2,000 watt inverter and we have one 1,000 watt inverter. Normally we just run the 1,000 watt inverter because it uses less amps per hour than the bigger one. The smaller one uses 1 amp per hour, the other one uses 2 amps per hour. So if we ran the big one all the time, that would be basically a battery's worth of use, even if you weren't running any. But you have to think about it like a circuit breaker in your house, the breaker box. If you overloaded the breaker box, it's going to trip. So we can't run a lot of appliances at the same time. If we do, we have to run both inverters. So like for the camper, if we turn the camper on, we put it on the 2,000 watt, run the house off the 1,000 watt. But I've tried to run the vacuum cleaner and the well at the same time on the big inverter, the 2,000 watt, and it wouldn't run it. So you just have to run one and then the other. So if you click that up next box, take that video where I was showing you about the washer. So if I can inspire you, to learn math so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.